So are you familiar with chess puzzles?
I think I've seen some things on maybe it's a Reddit where they kind of show you, yeah, they show you the cards and say, okay, how do you survive or how do you win?
Right.
It's
Interesting.
really
Yeah. That kind of format is what I was going for here. I decided it would be like the best idea to just kind of whip up a scenario to kind of look at a key thing that you should be doing during the game and like just kind of present this board to you and we can like kind of analyze it super in depth. I
yeah,
thought it would be great to like to do this to kind of force us into situations where we would be talking about these key moments of the game.
yeah.
So this is the first one. This is the first puzzle kind of thing. You like just take some time, look at it. Maybe you can even talk through your thought process if you want.
Yeah, so what is the sludge power? Yeah, that one. What
This
that one?
guy. So
Yeah,
that's Thorny Toad. So
the thorny.
Thorny Toad is a 1/4 with Last Breath, Toss 2, and Heal the Nexus for 2.
Okay, gotcha. Let's
Oh,
see. So
and
we've got
the other thing I should mention is you are absolutely allowed to use your own deck list here. Like you can pull up your deck list
gotcha.
because I'm assuming that you're using the deck that we've made for you.
Yeah, yeah. Let's see. So we've got a lot of power through the drain to dodge there, and that comes whenever one dies. So I mean, would you begin with? Well, he also didn't have any cards. Oh, I guess you're only on 1 health though. So he would be top decking, not as likely to get off some really great combos. Uh, so if you were to attack in directly with all of your board, looks like you'd be doing 4 damage because he would block the 4/3 and get deeper.
The don't forget that the Thorny Toad also heals the Nexus for 2.
Yeah, when it dies. Yeah. Okay, so he would actually be ending that round with 4 health. Um, would you? Although if you played it and he blocked it, you could glimpse beyond to avoid the heal. It's a big glimpse beyond though that you're burning, and you're losing your opportunity to play that turn if you were to get any additional combo cards that you could play on your attack.
You're
Uh,
you're thinking perfectly right now.
okay. So would you ever glimpse beyond pre-attack the 4/3? Because the 2/1's never going to well, unless you got something that could like the deal amount of damage to your the enemy's nexus.
Um.
Maybe you wouldn't.
Oh. Are you talking about Atrocity?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a card. So your question was, would you ever glimpse beyond the 4/3 pre-attack?
Yeah.
Well, keep in mind that that is certainly a way to play. The here's what I'll ask you. What are your possible paths? What are your potential potential lines of play?
Let's see. You could attack with everything. Make him block the 4/3 in order to survive. That's going to leave him at 4 health with no minions on board and no card draw. But if he's playing deep, then he'll be closer to deep.
Don't forget that when you glimpse beyond the 4/3, it will do an extra damage to the enemy nexus because of Neverglade.
Oh, that's right. Okay, so if you attack in, he'll block the 4/3 with a 1/4. You can glimpse beyond it, which will take him down 5, 4, 3, 2, which will take him down to 1.
Mm-hmm.
1 health.
Yep.
And then you'll get 2 cards. So at 1 health, you've still got 1 more Vile Feast left. You'll have enough mana there for Atrocity.
Yep.
Be too late to use your Fury of the North. See, I'm not coming up with any way to kill him this round, outside of if you just got lucky with the Vile Feast. Or you want to take a risk of Glimpse Beyonding before the attack to see if you draw any good cards.
Right. So you're thinking perfectly. So you tell me what the lines of play are again.
So you've got attacking with everything, and then do Glimpse Beyond the 4/3 that he's going to block. Or if he doesn't block, then you win the game.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, you can Glimpse Beyond the 4/3 to see what cards you get. And then if you've got something like, Haunted Relic or something that's going to put another minion on the board, the Drain is going to be there, but you don't know what he's going to counter with.
Yeah. Keep in mind that he doesn't have a hand.
That's true. Okay.
So I mean, normally you would certainly want to think about that, but
Yeah.
in this situation, you know that you are completely safe to Glimpse Beyond.
Yeah.
So you're thinking in exactly the way that I want you to think, which is the question is, do you attack in and Glimpse Beyond the 4/3 when the Thorny Toad blocks, or do you preemptively Glimpse Beyond? And you had an interesting idea, which was Glimpse Beyond the 4/3 because the 2/1 would never kill the Thorny Toad.
Mm-hmm.
But the other thing you could do is Glimpse Beyond the 2/1. So you sort of see these lines of play. You can either open attack, wait until he commits the blocker, and then Glimpse Beyond to try to get lethal, because of course that would put him at 1 health. And then the other thing you could do is preemptively Glimpse Beyond the either the 2/1 or the 4/3. So here's the ultimate question then. How do you determine which one to do?
So I guess you'd be looking at your opponent's hands and say, what can he do if I've got, if I'm killing off one of my minions, so the Drain will give me, 2, 3 health.
Mm-hmm.
So what can he do to kill me on 4 health?
Right.
Next.
That's a super important consideration. So I mean, okay, what deck your opponent is playing, first of all?
It's like deep.
Deep, yep. So what cards are the super scary cards that could beat you?
Gosh, of deep. Seems like once they hit deep, we got some huge stats, which at 1, at very low health, might not be that relevant for you. So you'd be more concerned with, I'm sure if the deep runs elusive or not.
There is Abyssal Eye.
Yeah.
The 5 mana 3/3. I actually don't tell you here if your opponent is deep, although you would be able to see the animation. So we'll say that the opponent is actually not deep right now.
Yeah, not deep, but if you're already at 8 mana and they've been tossing regularly, then
right. And they have an empty hand, so that's a fair assessment.
Yeah.
So, okay, so that seems relevant. But you're sort of noticing that because your opponent doesn't have a hand, and because, something like Ruination, Grasp of the Undying, Withering Wail, even something with Fearsome might be scary. Especially Salvage would be terrible because they would get multiple cards.
Gotcha.
So there are just a lot of ways for the opponent to kind of becomes scary again next turn.
Mhm.
So as a result of that, you should be kind of thinking, okay, this is my opportunity to kill him. We have to try.
Yeah.
Because you're only at 1 health and because your deck doesn't really run healing. I mean, you have Neverglade Collector, but that's not necessarily going to do too much by way of healing once the opponent begins to overwhelm you with these late game removal heavy and huge body threats. So, uh, so I'm it's only because your opponent doesn't have a hand that I will say this, but let's disregard what the opponent's deck is, and let's disregard what the opponent could do at any later turn. How must we choose between our options, given that we're only playing with what we have on board right now?
Gotcha.
I mean,
beyond 4/3 to get the card draw.
so glimpse beyond the 4/3 preemptively. So I think that could work, but why?
Because that way you can still attack in with your 2/1 without fear that he's going to be able to get his death rattle off.
That is fair. Yep, that is fair. There's a little bit more to that, but you're thinking basically on the right track. What else might be the reason that we would want to glimpse beyond before the attack, and even on the 4/3?
Just for the get the extra card draw there, and then the drain effect, obviously.
Yeah. So I'm gonna call that correct. You basically got everything. The what I was sort of trying to show here was, so your deck is going to be filled with options for closing out the game, and the question that I was trying to sort of test here is, what in your deck would win you the game in both circumstances? So if you were to open attack and then sort of retrospectively glimpse beyond, or maybe not retrospectively, reactively glimpse beyond, making the Thorny Toad doesn't die, and putting him at 1 health. The question is, what would win you the game there? Well, Haunted Relic would win you the game because at the end of the turn, the Ephemeral would die. Blighted Caretaker would win you the game because Blighted Caretaker, the 2/1, you do an extra 3 damage there, that's more than enough. Atrocity would win you the game because you can Atrocity the 2/1 and it still works. Vile Feast would win you the game. Why would Vile Feast win you the game? I think you said it before, but why would Vile Feast win you the game?
Because if you then get him down to 1 mana, you could
one health, I assume.
Or 1,
yeah.
You could do your 2/1 and kill it and do the drain effect.
Perfect. Then if you were to get another Glimpse Beyond, you would also win the game because you could once again Glimpse Beyond the 2/1. And then also Ravenous Butcher would win you the game under that line because you could Ravenous Butcher the 2/1.
Gotcha. Yeah.
But so you had said Glimpse Beyond before the attack. So what wins you the game then? Well, Haunted Relic still wins you the game because you can Haunted Relic before the attack in, and then you have all these other attackers. And as long as you put the 4/3 at the end of the line, then you still win the game. Blighted Caretaker still wins you the game for the same reason. And especially the Challenger units can basically make sure that your 4/3 gets in damage. Atrocity still wins you the game because you can Atrocity the 4/3. Actually, interestingly enough, I think if you Glimpse Beyond the 4/3, you don't win in that line. But if you Glimpse Beyond the 2/1, you do win in that line. So I was actually thinking that you would Glimpse Beyond the 2/1.
Gotcha.
But anyway, but then what else wins you the game, right? So that we know that those benefited the other one also. But what else wins you the game? Fury of the North wins you the game. You had said that before, if pre-attack. The other thing is They Who Endure will win you the game because it's going to be a 10-10. Callista would win you the game because she has Fearsome. And the Thorny Toad can't block her. Any combination of minions with 2 attacks. So if you were to get like an Elise and like an Avarosan Sentry or something, like playing those 2 minions would win you the game.
Gotcha.
And I think that's it. So it turns out, when you kind of math it all out, it turns out to be a little close, right? So let's sort of gauge all this. Haunted Relic, Blighted Caretaker, and Atrocity benefit both outcomes, so we rule those out. Fury of the North, They Who Endure, Callista, and any combination of minions with 2 attack win you the game with the first line. With the second line. I'm sorry. If you Glimpse Beyond before the attack, then Vile Feast, Glimpse Beyond, and Ravenous Butcher all win you the game if you all only win you the game if you commit the attack, then Glimpse Beyond, and then draw into them. So it's weird, and that's sort of the reason that I put what cards you played this game thus far. Is so that you can have an idea. So you see, like, you've played 2 Vile Feasts already. Well, now your chances of getting a Vile Feast are much slimmer.
Yeah.
So that just weakens the first line, which is to attack in and Glimpse Beyond the 4/3 after the attack, or during the attack rather. So I hope that was kind of interesting, and these are the kind of decisions that you'll find yourself making, and you can kind of understand that this reasoning would be kind of impractical to actually be able to go through during the match. But
just get that good instinct though.
Yeah. It's a matter of first of all, knowing when these kind of situations arise, when these situations where you realize, I'm at 1 health, this is going to be kind of the only chance I have to win the game, and also knowing just how to do at a glance these kind of quick calculations. You don't even necessarily need to be super precise on the math. You just need to have a feeling of what cards are in your deck and what general things will win you the game. So very abstract thing, but I felt like that was kind of good because you'll find yourself in these kind of situations pretty often. Was that helpful?
Yeah, it seemed like I see some of those puzzles, and I just haven't taken the time to look at some of the other ones either. So.
I didn't know that other people had them. I'll have to check those out too.
On the Reddit page, you can see they'll post them every now and then.
Right. So I have one more for you. So this is the other one. And it's gonna, your opponent has a hand now, so you're gonna be you're thinking about what your opponent is gonna play. So I'll just, give you a second to think about it and talk to yourself.
Okay. So let's see. So you've got They Who Endure that's going to be pretty beefy. But with Ash Juan, you got to worry about the freeze effect. You don't have enough to do the They Who Endure and Atrocity combo. Unless you played. So you do have enough to do like a Callista. Would there ever be a world where you would Callista Vile Feast 3, 4, 6, 7. To get that extra minion. Let's see, attack in. Get his Nexus down enough that you can then take the surviving highest attack minion and then do atrocity to the Nexus.
That is certainly a line that you could do. So I mean, just kind of reason out what, if that will actually get you lethal, and also what your other options are.
Yeah. Yeah, if we put down the They Who Endure, you've got still a good number of cards, and I guess you've played 2 of the Icevale Archers already. Let's see what got the Ash joining deck up here. Let's see. Like Tavern Keeper to get out of range. Let's see, it hasn't played any Brittle Steel yet. But it's Callista. What's the health on Callista? 4-3. Yeah, you got Calling Strike. It take you out. Yeah, the fast speed. And then, yeah, definitely harsh winds can make you pretty grumpy.
Yep, that's true. Once again you're following the right lines of reasoning.
So yeah, that would be the concern of kind of blowing all your mana on the They Who Endure just to get it frostbit. And then you're on 8, so it's still going to be another couple turns before you could do the combo on the same turn.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you're able to hold on to that 7 mana until they've exhausted. Well, no, they're still going to have the first round the next time. Yeah, it's tricky. I guess real world, I would play the Elise and see what they countered with.
Oh, Elise?
Let's see. What is that?
The Callista?
Callista. Yeah.
So is that your final answer?
Probably not the right answer.
Okay, so that's your answer.
Then yeah, you can. Well, I guess if you did that, you couldn't bait out the They Who Endure. Yeah, you would have enough mana for it.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, it's a tricky one. I don't know what optimal play would be on that one.
Okay, so once again, I think it's important to look at what the lines of play are. So your first line of play is just to open attack with Elise. You get the free spider. That sort of almost guarantees you 4 damage, unless of course they do something like Harsh Winds, which you were sort of going to have to deal with anyway. But here's the issue with that. Culling Strike. So you'll notice that they used 0 Culling Strikes. And Culling Strike is a huge like source of removal for this deck. It's the main way that they stop aggression, and even can slow down the tempo of mid-range strategies like yours. So they are very likely sitting on a Culling Strike. So that's why we might not want to do that. I'd say that's the main reason we can try to, that we might, be hesitant to do that. Callista, the other thing you could do is play Callista and have enough mana for Atrocity. But as you said perfectly, she's vulnerable to Brittle Steel, and none of those have been used. And there is likely still one more Icevale Archer. like all the plays, it's vulnerable to brittle steel. Not brittle steel. It's vulnerable to harsh winds, and even a double ash hand. That's important. If he's sitting on 2 ashes, he plays 1 ash, the other one turns into a flash freeze. That will nullify your play. So harsh winds and double ash beats all the lines. So we sort of preclude them from consideration because if something beats everything we can do, then we have to pretend it's not there.
Gotcha.
So Callista is vulnerable to brittle steel and possible third arachnoid sentry, possible third Iceveil archer. However, if you were to play They Who Endure, so I think I'll tell you now. I think playing They Who Endure is the right answer. But why? So first of all, They Who Endure is not vulnerable to brittle steel, which is super important. You'll notice that they haven't played any harsh winds, but as I said before, harsh winds beats all of our options, so we have to pretend it's not there. The main benefit of They Who Endure, and it's the thing that I think makes it like light years better than all your other options, is you threaten lethal without using your atrocity. So it's super important to do that because the atrocity is going to be the main way you want to try to close out the game. And if you bait out freeze, well, you are going to have to deal with that freeze somewhere down the line anyway. Better that you've baited out the freeze on something that you weren't going to atrocity.
Gotcha.
So, if your opponent uses a freeze in response to an atrocity, that's terrible for you. So you play They Who Endure this turn, then they have to do something. And if they don't have a freeze, you automatically win the game. If they do have a freeze, you're very likely to win next turn.
Yeah.
So I mean that's why I think it's the best option. Vile Feast was kind of a bait there. Do you have any questions about that? Or?
It's all making sense. Yeah, I think it's getting some of those kind of decisions and thought points kind of second nature, so we can put them in real world. Be the key.
Right. And I really liked how this went because I had wanted to kind of get a feeling for the way that you were reasoning in these kind of situations. It's a little hard to gauge what you're thinking when we're in that kind of high tense, the timer's going down situation. So it was really good to see that you were thinking in that way because honestly, I think you are absolutely on the right track. And that figures because you're in Diamond. It's just a matter of knowing what things to look for in every situation. In the first situation, it was a matter of what things in my deck would win me the game in this situation because, I don't know if I'm going to die next turn. And in the second puzzle, the question, even though it wasn't clear, was how do I threaten lethal without using my atrocity? How can I be sure that I will be safe whenever I choose to use my atrocity? So you were flawless on the first puzzle, and it's understandable that it wasn't super clear on the second puzzle.